Sorry.
Plant Nerd Podcast. Here it is. And we got plants. We got plants in the background over there. We got a plant drawing over there. And we got plant fiddle leaf figs over there. All right, what's growing on, everybody? So we have Kata, the queen of perennials. We have the millennial maven herself, Michelle, looking all nice and dainty today. And we have Devin, kind of slumming it, but still loving some plants. Let's start with you, Devin. What is growing on? What you got in the background over there? What you sporting?
I have some pretty fiddly figs. It's cold here today, so I'm like freezing. So sorry I have a sweatshirt on, but it is like it's been chilly here. So we got our first frost, which is exciting. Starting to see some stuff go dormant. So that's exciting. Let all the perennials go to sleep and rest up for next year. So still going strong.
Delivering plants. Y'all are delivering plants. They're dormant, and customers said they died. I mean, come on. Did they die? I mean, is that really what's happening? What does dormancy mean? I mean, we're going to break it down right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, when they go dormant, they get a frost on them. And so all their leaves, because most perennials have thinner leaves and they're a little bit tender. So that's the biggest difference between an evergreen has a much thicker leaf where perennials have a thinner leaf. And when the frost hits it, it just shrivels it up and then it'll die down to the ground. Some perennials die all the way down to the ground. Some don't. But it's just a good time for them to rest and store up energy for next season to bloom a lot.
So what are the roots doing while the leaves shrivel up and go away?
They're actually here in Georgia, since the ground doesn't freeze, they'll have root growth all winter. So now is actually a great time to get stuff in the ground because you're going to get all that root growth all winter. It's not a ton, but it's a little bit. So I personally like getting stuff planted before they wake up in the spring, because when they wake up in the spring and get that big push of energy, they also grow roots. So you want them in the ground and not in that pot. So it pushes all those roots out in the pot. You want it to push out into the soil, and then it'll be more established and you won't have to water as much.
Devin, I've always heard that you're not supposed to fertilize this time of year for perennials and things like that, but you're saying that roots are still growing. So would you agree?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to fertilize this time of year, because you just want those roots to grow. You don't want to encourage any new like green growth up top. If you use like something heavy in nitrogen, that's going to encourage the tops to grow. Where you want, you don't really need to fertilize. It's not going to take up much nutrients. It's just kind of slowly growing and rooting in. So
I think especially in the South, that is true. Like, remember last year when we had this extreme freeze at Christmas? The freeze wasn't the problem. It was the biggest problem that we had 50 degrees the day before. And like a lot of my customers lost like the most basic things, like just because they fertilized. Like anybody who fertilized, it just like the tissue was way too soft. Nothing was hardened up. And also the fertilizer itself can change because the temperature is not right. So like you can get more salts in the soil that hurt the plants because the soil temperature wasn't right for the fertilizer to actually be active.
Yep, that makes sense.
Wherever your microphone is, you need to speak closer to it.
Me? Well, I'm all the way in Austria. It's a little far away to get over to the US.
All right, well, what's going on in Austria? Can you hear me?
I don't feel it quite yet.
What's going on in Austria? Where the world is Kata?
I'm in my hometown in Ort im Innkreis. Am I still very slightly not very loud?
Not as loud as everybody else. You're a little softer.
Well, okay, let me jump back out and then you cut that out.
I'll edit that piece. Timestamp.
And
I want to go back to dormancy in a little bit to talk about. Okay.
Back better.
A little bit.
Oh, okay. Let me not take. How about now?
Oh, you seem fine to me. You don't seem super quiet to me, so I don't.
We're just loud.
Volume's up high.
Man,
I'm gonna see if I can boost it.
I talked so long with the other two, and they didn't tell me that I was quiet.
Hey, you seem fine.
You seem fine to me, so that's why I was like, yeah.
It's probably just Mario.
Well, I can increase it later.
Volume, yeah.
I can edit the volume later. I got you on a separate track.
Okay, cool. But I lost Michelle.
What? No. I'm still here.
And
You're
Mario.
getting a little blurry.
You're blurry, Kata.
Me?
You're slowly fading. Now you're back.
You're back. You're coming back.
Oh, okay. Well, I see you guys.
You're good now to me.
Okay, cool.
First, I got a
Well,
truck.
Mario, keep it going.
Hold on, I got like a truck. It's like right in front.
He's like, get out of here.
Definitely need all the outtakes in this one for sure. I love how Mario's sitting right behind the internet modem is right behind him.
He's not messing around.
Am I like sounding different to you guys now than before?
No, you sound.
No, you always sounded fine to me.
Yeah, you sounded fine to me too.
Mario.
Damn. What did he do to the guy?
All right,
Get out of here.
Oh, it's the door.
Where in the world is Kata, and what is growing on there?
I am in my hometown in Austria, which is a super, super tiny town. But I'm sitting in my dad's office, which is absolutely my favorite place in the whole world. I gotta just show you really quick. It is his plant book library, and he has tons and tons and tons of books, and there's still boxes and other stuff. Such a huge
Smells
collection.
like rich mahogany.
Yeah.
Mini bound books.
Yeah, like he has a lot of like really old books. I remember like as a child, there's this one book, it's from the like 1724 or something, like super old book, and it's so cool. But yeah, it's a great place to be. So today I'm just joining from Austria. It's super cold here too, but interestingly enough, they did not have a freeze yet.
Really?
Mario's
No.
echoing. Turn on the echo cancellation.
I'm echoing.
Unless I'm insane.
No, I was hearing it a little bit.
Echoing from you. So if you turn on the echo cancellation. Got to talk now.
Okay. Well, so anyway, it was really cool. I landed this morning at like here local time 8 o'clock. Drove from Munich to my little hometown, like 1.5, 2 hour drive, and went straight to the nursery. And things looked so amazing. I actually have to admit that I haven't been to the nursery in like over a year now, because oftentimes I come in wintertime and you can't really see anything. And y'all, you have to check out my Instagram later. I have to upload some pictures. It is so gorgeous. There's so many asters and chrysanthemums and grasses and so many colors. And my dad like expanded the gardens nearly by 50%, and I just couldn't like stop being in a wow phase. Like it was so cool. I really wish you guys would have been here and like could have checked it out with me. So yeah.
Well, can we share can you do like a garden tour, a virtual garden tour?
Really,
yes,
for sure.
That'd
I really
so
should.
cool.
Yeah, watch out for it. I'll definitely make a little one for y'all. Very cool. But yeah, it is definitely typical Austrian weather, gray and rainy, and yeah, you know, just the perfect time to sit in a library with a good hottie toddy and talk to my best friends here. Hey, I mean, I've always been like a super big fan of wintertime and fall time. Like I think gardeners need also that time where you can just calm down and like kind of just think about what happened this year, plan ahead what you want to do next year. I absolutely like, I mean, call me old fashioned, but I love a good garden book and like actually look through like what other people write and seeing their designs or reading up on new. It's just so perfect for wintertime. And I personally really struggled a little bit in the South where there wasn't a true dormant phase because there's always something going on in the South. And meanwhile, here in Austria, it's truly like there's nothing. So yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of like excited to go back to that kind of lifestyle of like super high intensity work, and then also having
you actually have real
time.
Seasons.
We do have real seasons. Yeah, and they come with very, very good hot wine.
Speaking of plant books, one of the coolest things I have is a gardening book from my great grandmother. It was published in like 1915. It's so cool.
I love books
And
like
I
that.
actually went through the book, and it's amazing. Like, a lot of the stuff in there, I mean, it's still true to this day. Like, it's
Yeah.
insane.
You know, that's where you really get to see the difference between the art and science of what we do, because the art, right, is so objective, like trends come and go, but the science of it stays. It's
Yeah.
so true. That's one of the reasons why I just love being a part of this green industry is this confluence of art and science. Not many industries get that.
Yeah.
No. And I feel like even when the science changes a little bit, like, I mean, I know it can be super frustrating when like botanic names change. Like, yes, the new sedums have all really, really difficult names that nobody can pronounce. And I think we'll stick with sedum for a long time, or same with asters. But even then, reading like an old book with an old name, it doesn't change the fact how people described it or how they use the plant. So like so much of it stays true, even though we like learn something new about the science. So I think you can constantly be super futuristic, yet very down to earth with just how stuff is. So yeah, it's a beautiful world we live in.
Michelle,
Yes.
you're not in Austria.
I'm not.
Where,
No.
what's growing on wherever you are?
Okay, I'm really excited because I finally got all of the, like fall clearance plants and things that I've acquired in the ground before the freeze. I was very proud of myself. And then today, new boxes came in, and I'm trying out a new nursery, Green Promise Farms, and getting some natives. So I'm gonna add some Grape Crush Aster to the garden, which I hear is a
Ooh, good
is it a good
one.
one?
Yeah, I love that one.
That's awesome. The pictures look amazing. And then I've been on the hunt for mountain laurel, which is a shrub, and maybe not your thing, Kata, but that just looks so incredible. And I haven't seen it locally anywhere. So Green Promise Farms had them, and it almost looks like an evergreen hydrangea when it's in bloom, because like the flowers are so pretty. So I'm
It's
super
actually funny that you like point out that I wouldn't know, but they are everywhere in North Carolina. And I was just telling some friends like things that I will miss in North Carolina. Mount Laurel is like the top of my list. Like walking through the woods. So beautiful.
I don't know why more people don't plant mountain laurel, but like I could barely find it.
It's hard.
It's a challenge to grow down here.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's why I was like, plant it high. You have permatil. Use permatil.
I've got the permatil. Okay.
Lots of drainage. I've been the hole really, really good, and it's gonna be that's a tricky one to grow here. That's why you don't see it as much. But a lot of growers struggle to grow it. Like they really, really struggle to grow it. But yeah, like Kata said though, in the mountains, when all the mountain laurels are blooming, it is the prettiest thing ever. When I lived in Charlotte, I loved going to the mountains when the mountain laurels were blooming and the rhododendrons would be blooming. I mean, they're huge up there in the North Carolina mountains. They're massive. It's insane.
Now, are we talking about the minute mountain laurel, the Kalmia latifolia?
Kalmia,
yeah. Beautiful. But it's slow here, right? I mean, you got to find the microclimate that it really wants. Like you have to emulate the North Georgia or North Carolina mountains, right? Appalachia.
A nice shady spot.
Kind of well drained. North face, north.
All right.
Like if you got a spot into the woods, it's gonna really like that.
I need all of these tips because I will be very sad if that one dies. It's been like on my wish list for so long.
You know, another cool, challenging plant that I love is Daphne.
Daphne, it's still alive. I planted a tiny one.
I love that plant.
Daphne, just leave it alone.
Don't ever water it. I don't care how mad it looks.
Look at it.
Don't water it.
Don't pray. Nothing. Ignore it. Ghost it.
Ghosted?
The more you ghost it, the more ready I get.
Like I have 3 that finally made it, and they're planted under this giant Natchez crepe myrtle. I couldn't get anything else to grow there because it's so dry, and I just was able to like dig a tiny hole for a 1 gallon, and man, those are actually the only ones I have left. I had them all over, but and it makes me so mad because it'll be so pretty and beautiful, and then you'll walk out there like it's been there for 5 years, and it's just dead, dead.
No.
No reason, it just died. It's like I'm done.
Mine
but
is
it's
under.
a
Yeah, mine is under a crepe myrtle too. So maybe that's the like good luck charm, but hopefully it stays alive. I don't know.
But
yeah,
that
really
slowly devolved into like an only plants dating advice. So yeah, we got Daphne, we got Mountain Laurel, slope aspect, north face.
Got it.
That's what I say.
Yeah,
perfect.
But the mountain laurel is definitely on the more high maintenance side. Like I would definitely also check out the soil that it's correct. I mean, it is definitely pickier on the soil than a Daphne.
Yeah, not in a heavy clay area.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody's going to ask me what's growing on, so I'm going to tell you what's growing on in my world.
What's growing on?
What's going
on? I just got back from Sea Island, beautiful little Hilton or St. Simon's Island, and have a landscape design down there. And because I used to design in Zone 8, and I miss it. I went down there. I get to design again. I'm in Zone 8. I'm looking at all the plant combinations. And when you're driving by, you see a couple resorts, you see a couple of nice houses, and you start to see some of the palettes. You can almost I can almost peg like, oh, they got theirs from Home Depot. They got theirs from, a nicer designer, a nicer whatever. It's just there's so much. I think there's so much room for originality because when I go back down there, there's just so much the same. There's like, this works. I'm just going to repeat all these patterns. So I am so excited to try, obviously, a lot of the same plant palette, but with different combinations that nobody's really seen, and my client's going to love it. So that's what I'm excited about.
Zone 8B, baby. I love gardening in Zone 8B. It's the best.
Oh, wow, we are so different, Devin. It's like I hear 8B and like everything like, ooh. Just inside of me, I'm like, oh.
Tropicals, I love it. It's tropical palms.
Swipe left.
But hey.
I don't know. I miss me some variegated ginger. I miss
me some gosh,
green tea.
Oh, I wish I would have known. I have a huge one at home. I should have brought it to you. That I don't know what to do with it. It's still in a pot, and I was like, well, it doesn't make sense anymore to plant it.
Do I need to schedule visitation rights to it or something?
Well, how about we schedule a live session in Atlanta before I leave for good for Austria,
like it.
And I'll bring y'all my plants.
So I want to go back to dormancy. We said no fertilizer, but how do I protect from, like, we had a 50-year freeze. Don't quote me on 50-year. It was a bad freeze last January. What is the ways I'm going to protect my perennials and other shrubs, other materials, my Daphne and my mountain laurel from a really hard freeze? Can I use, my question I get a lot from my clients, can I use worm castings as a way to protect root growth? Worm castings and other soil amendments.
It would work as a layer. It would be similar to mulch. But I prefer mulch because it'll warm up a little bit more.
You will have such a bad freeze. So I'm like a big proponent of, if I have one bad freeze, I'll take all my blankets and all my old towels and just throw it over stuff that I would be really sad about. And if it's in a container, it comes inside. But I really, unless I planted something that's like marginally hardy in wherever I live, I don't do much extra, but I swear for just stuff that you have laying around your house, and it's just 1, 2, 3 nights, and you have a little ghost garden.
Yeah.
You should have seen my yard last Christmas because it got down to 19 in Tallahassee.
Oh, you showed me the picture. We should blend that in for.
Oh my gosh, I can send. I have pictures. My yard looked like a giant morgue. I have giant pieces of frost cloth, and I had everything covered. Had to move all the citrus in the garage. It was terrible. And then I ended up losing a bunch of stuff. But it was like tropical stuff like hibiscus.
Yeah. The freeze from last year made me realize how many things I had planted that were marginally hardy too. Like I didn't realize gardenias were marginally hardy, and the tea olives they didn't die, but they're still, trying to make a recovery. And I had a dwarf variegated pittosporum. They all 1, 2, 3 instant
But
death.
I still believe that like sometimes it's not even just the hardiness. Like last year was bad because it was so warm the days before. Stuff was actively growing. And
Yes.
I oftentimes think you don't have to be worried in November, December about hard freezes. When it gets really tricky is in March. Like February, March, you have stuff actively growing. The plant tissue is super soft. And then like even a slight freeze can really hurt your plants. So like hostas are definitely one. Like once you see those little, we call them horns, little Devon horns. That is, you really, really want to cover them. If you freeze them off, hostas tend to not really regrow nicely leaves. Like you'll see it the rest of your year. So I definitely feel like with some stuff, I'm like, if it burns back my nepeta a little bit more once again, and it just delays blooming, whatever. But like, if it actually will make a difference in your whole year's worth of, what this plant looks like, just take a blanket, throw it over, make a little ghost garden.
One thing that I did when it got cold that actually worked out really good this year, like you're talking about the hostas that were emerging, even though I don't have hostas because I can't grow hostas in 8B, but all my calicaceae and everything were coming up. But I used old nursery pots. They were great.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the greatest. Because I had run out of sheets and everything, and I was like, I still need to cover more stuff. And I was like, I got a bunch of 10 and 15 gallon buckets over here, so I just had buckets all over everything that was waking up. So
I did that too. I did that earlier, like when it was still warm and sunny, so that I felt like it got some radiant.
Trap heat.
And I was like, okay, they were okay. I want to change this topic because you said hosta and the little like horns. Has anybody tried to eat them? Apparently they're edible, and I've never done it.
I heard that too. I have tried the flowers because somebody. What? Yes, apparently the flowers we have them on cakes and in salads, but like I heard, isn't it in Japan where they eat the
something horns? Like it's supposed to taste like asparagus, but I don't really have like a hosta that I want to sacrifice to try this.
But then I'm like, why would you cut off your leaves?
Like, do you eat the roots?
No, you eat like the little shoot before it opens.
The shoot.
The horn. Like before it unfurls, you eat that, and it's supposed to taste like asparagus, but I haven't. Okay, none of us have tried it. We all love plants too much to eat them.
I have this really cool botanical like cookbook that you can like. It has you mix flowers and use flowers for like edible stuff, and like they make like funfetti cake with the sprinkles in it, but they take a bunch of flowers and mix it in the cake batter, and it's the coolest cookbook ever.
So wouldn't you agree that it's the host's job to try everything that we suggest?
Oh my gosh, yeah. When the hostas come up, Mario, you have to try it.
Mario.
I'm ChatGPTing a disclaimer for a podcast to say to audiences not to try plants in their landscape.
But daylilies are edible too, like the whole thing, roots, stalks, flowers.
Oh, those are delicious. Like the more orange, the more this tastes like bell pepper.
Really?
I've tried that.
Go ahead, Maria.
Yes.
All right, my turn. My turn. Dear listeners, we want to take this moment to share an important message about the topics we discuss on this podcast, especially when it comes to landscape plants. While we aim to provide valuable information and insights, it's essential to remember that not all plants are suitable for every landscape or eating.
Or dating.
That was very good.
Or eating. Or dating.
Or ghosting.
I will say that I have enjoyed, I don't know about enjoyed, I did consume a fiddlehead. He's got fiddle leaf. I had a fiddlehead fern sauteed. Have y'all had those?
Mm-mm.
No.
That sounds good.
I gotta show y'all this. I gotta pull this up.
I don't know if it sounds good. It looks cute.
They were quite delicious. Can y'all see this?
That's
No,
coming.
you're making. Oh, so fancy.
Oh, that does look good.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, like here's like what
Pretty.
they can look like. And they had like more of a spinach kind of consistency, right? It was really quite delicious.
Where
from
did
what
you
I
eat
remember.
that?
Where, how, when? I don't know. I was in Boston. I was doing a garden tour when I was in school, and one of the gardens we visited, they had a little kitchen, and they cooked dinner for us. It was awesome. It was an amazing dinner, and it was 20 years ago. So it's been a minute. But I think we should all try it again.
Yeah.
We should.
This spring. Let's do it.
We'll do a cook-off.
There we go.
Like everybody brings a botanical dish to the podcast in spring.
There we go.
All right.
Share
That's going to be a future episode right there.
There you go.
I will make sure that disclaimer is read again.
We're going to start reading it for everyone.
All right. We're almost out of time. What else is growing on, y'all? We got one more round here.
Wait, what was? Oh, you went to visit Zone 8B and swiped right and enjoyed that.
Michelle got her first mangave. I'm like the most excited.
And I brought it into the garage for the freeze, and I noticed it has little babies. It's got pups.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good.
So I'm a proud mom.
Hey, so random question, Tata, about mangaves. So the babies, will they be true to the mother plant? Yeah. So they'll be true. Okay, I didn't know if it was like reversion or anything like that.
No,
so.
no.
What's the process for separating this poor child from its mother plant and potting it up and potentially selling it off?
That is illegal, Mario.
Oh
no.
Okay, giving it to friends.
But if
another
you
disclaimer.
Want to, another disclaimer: do not propagate and sell patented plants. But if Michelle would like to take off the baby and pot it for her daughter, so her daughter could enjoy also her own baby plant, they're really easy actually to just pull off. It really depends on which type of mangave it is, to where how many babies or pups they even create. And some of the ones with a stronger Manfreda background tend to do that more. So Michelle actually got one of my favorites. It's called Snow Leopard. And that one already did have pups because it was a little root bound when I gave it to her. But you can just like slowly pull it off, make sure it has a root, and then just stick it into a little pot. I always wait until the spring though. Like there is no reason to do that now when they actually just shut down and are kind of, and they don't really go dormant. But a lot of plants, just because they don't go dormant doesn't mean that they don't also like shut down and stagnate a little bit. So I would just do it then, water it, fertilize it, and off we go.
You said they're hibernating, right? So
there you go. But do you have to divide them? Someone told me you had to divide mangaves, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
So, we could do a whole episode about propagation of like agaves and mangaves, but there is something called like they divide really, really slow. So like in normal propagation, if you don't do them in a tissue culture lab, it would take years for a nursery like where I work for to actually get any numbers. So we have to do tissue culture lab. But where I used to work, Plant Delights Nursery, we did a lot of agaves too. And there's something called cross-cutting and scooping. So you really go into an agave or a mangave and you take out the middle and then take a spoon and you really destroy the heart of that agave. And that encourages the plant to create pups. That is scooping. Sense. And you can do the same with a knife where you cross cut. So you basically take the base and you cross cut into it, destroying the base. And it will also encourage the plant to create pups. And then you can propagate those and the middle dies.
Ah.
Yep.
Very cool.
Mario looks like absolutely. Yeah, he's like,
I feel like I just watched surgery.
Yeah, we're talking about
it is
graphic.
It was my
eating
favorite part.
Mm.
I always wanted to like become a doctor and work for Doctors Without Borders, and that didn't work out. So like, I just do some surgery on that.
Maybe it's good that you didn't end up doing that.
Yeah.
Why?
We'll just scoop the middle out.
No, it was very surgical the way she described that. It was very surgical.
I think she had fun.
So
she
much
enjoyed doing
empathy.
it.
All right, everybody. That is the Plant Nerd podcast for this week. We got many more stories to tell, many more surgical instances to report. For the hostess, mostess, Mario, Devin, the king of North Florida, Michelle, the Malavan, and Kata, the queen of perennials. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all. Cheers.
Cheers.